Alright, so I raised the front up 3 inches. It's now 8.5 inches off the ground at the front spoiler. And I lowered it down 3 inches in the back. I think that looks pretty good. And there's a lot more weight on the front springs. There was almost no weight on the front springs. Really, they're kind of tight now. That's how they're adjusted right there. And that's the SN95 spindles. Alright, today we're going to be doing an alignment on Ernie. And I just put SN95 spindles on it, so we'll see how easy this new QuickTrick system is that I bought. It's a QuickTrick string method, and I've seen some videos online and I thought, well, I'll give that a shot. So there's a lot of stuff on this system if you Google it, but I'm gonna try it for myself and see how it works. Okay, so this is it. I've already unzipped it because I only got one hand, but that is for the steering wheel. This is what it looks like when it comes in the mail. It was in a box, but I took it out of the box. Gonna have to figure out how to put this together because I've never seen this before. There should be a set of 4 here. I bought the best one, the biggest kit, because I wanted to be able to make sure my axle in the rear and the front tires were square. Even though I can't adjust the camber or the toe in the rear, I still would like to be able to make sure that they're square with each other. And that's your unboxing. It has these tapes on each end. So after you set it up, you can run a string. So I'm going to put these together and then I'll be back. First thing I did was set up this steering holder, and as you can tell, it holds it pretty tight. There's a button right here on the back that you push that and it releases it, and then there's a locking screw just in case you want to use that, but you just push this and it drops down, and what you do is you hold it up against the steering wheel and you push down on this and let go of that button, and voila, works good. I found inside this pocket is the electronics and the bungee cords and screws and all that stuff, and even some string. Alright, now I can, there's nothing in this pocket. Okay, so I was slightly confused for a second because I've ordered the extension kit, which is those spacers right there and these longer bolts. And what those do is the spacers go inside the hole like that, and then the longer bolt goes in, or actually it's this bolt goes in, and then this goes on top. So and that threads on like that. That extends it out. That, what is that, 3/4 of an inch or something? And then when you use that, then you have to use this bolt up here, because then the spacer goes on the other side there, and that extends them out. But to do it the normal way, you just drop this in the hole and use that short bolt. Otherwise, if you don't drop it in the hole like that, then this one's not going to stick out as far as these ones. These ones will stick out the length of this further, so you can't use these extensions when you put it together for the normal way. And then it seems to me that, because I couldn't find any instructions right now, you got to take this nut off for this and then screw this on, and then they should be square. All right, there it is set up on the car. I took this off and I set it here and I leveled this, and then I put a dot there with a marker and a dot there with a marker, so I know if it moves when I'm doing my process. This is without the extenders on it, so this is why you'd want to buy them. It's barely clearing. Okay, but it's clearing. So I'm going to set up the other side like this, right next to the tire, and we'll see what happens on the rear. I might need the extensions on the rear. I don't know if I can. I have to figure it out. All right, this wheel was a lot easier actually, because I was able to use the little hooks to go on the side of the wheel instead of those rubber pieces like I did here, because this tire fits this bead so tightly I couldn't use it there. But this one, maybe it depends on the tire. If I get a different kind of tire, maybe I'll be able to use these eventually on the front, but that's it set up on the back. I need to still level it and stuff, but and I'm not even sure what purpose I could use these for on the back, except for measuring from here to here, just to get a reference on the wheel centers to see if they're the same on each side. So this is threaded right here, less than the threads on my oil pan for the drain for the turbos. So you take this nut off and you just lay it there and you make it flat, and then you screw it in, and it's threaded here too, it seems like. So you want to start flush, you get that screw back flush, and then put it on there and screw it in, and it will tighten up. Just don't over tighten it. I imagine that eventually I'm gonna have to drill that out, and oops, wrong side, or wrong hole. Drill that out. I was like, what? There's a hole there. I'm gonna have to drill that out and do it like this, because I don't know why they didn't make this a little bit longer and use a spacer so you could crank that down good, but they didn't, and eventually I'll wind up having to do that, most likely. And I can make a correction. This is a through hole. It's not threaded on this one. The only threads are on this one, so you don't have to make it flush. It does make it a little easier to square it up, otherwise you might cross thread it. but it'll just sit there and spin. That's why it'll tighten down. So thought I'd throw that in there. All right, I got it all set up, and I haven't adjusted anything yet. Got the string laid out. So I did the math after making all the measurements, and the back measurement was 72 1/4 in the very back and 72 7/8 in the front of the back. So that makes the axle, by my figures, 72 9/16 wide. Okay, whether that's shifted or not, I don't know. It's as centered as I could get it when I triangulated it. So the wheelbase is 101 7/16 from this tire to this tire, and 101 15/16 from this tire to this tire. I'm going to have to change that. This was 70 1/8 and 67 1/16, and I divided the difference in those two, and it winds up being 1.5 inches difference on each side with the rear axle to the front axle. So the rear axle is wider by 1.5 inches. Okay, so when I did the string, I put it at 5 inches, and on this side I put it at 3 inches. I need to probably change that to a 3.5. So it needs to be right there. So I have to change that and see if that makes it more accurate, because it needs to be 1.5 inches difference from the front to the back. This one's way off, you can tell just by looking at them. Okay, now to get this toe closer, this has to be 5, and I think that has to be 5. Because that would make it straight, right? So this one would need to be 3.5 and 3.5, and it's 3.5 and 3. So I'll make some adjustments and see what happens with the string. I've never really done this before. I don't have any experience with it, so I'm just kind of winging it. Okay, I got it at 5 here and 5 there, and it's 1.5 inches difference back here. So this one isn't perfect because, well, that's 3.5 and that's 3 1/4. So that's got some, toe in back there. This one's 5 and 5 again. I had to keep, if you're pulling it in, the string gets tighter and you got to keep loosening it, and if it's coming out, the string gets looser. So every couple of cranks you have to get back over here and mess with your string, or you're not going to have an accurate reading. And so this one's at 3.5 and 3 1/8, it looks like. So that's got a little bit of a toe in also, which is kind of different than what I thought it had all along. And so that's straight. Now I took that and I zeroed it out again right there, and it's 0.30 degrees. And this one is 0.40 degrees for the camber. So I'm gonna try to mess with that now. So you're supposed to do caster, camber, then toe, and in that order. Well, that was so far off anyways that I was like, well, I'm gonna get it closer, the way it is, because anyways, every other time I've done an alignment, it's always had all the caster it can get going back, and it's always been maxed out. So I'm pretty sure that it's going to require that again, but I'm going to do it again now that I've got everything closer and I can go back and test the toe again after I'm done. So right now it's cambered in is almost as far as it can go, it looks like, and it's castered back as far as it can go on this side. And this side, it looks like it could go in a little bit more that way, and it's all the way back, because this is the caster adjustment, this is the camber. Just noticed something. I'm doing the caster, and watch right here. Okay, that's going to hit there, and when it does, it's gonna move it and change the reading. Lucky it didn't knock it off. Probably would have if I didn't have the bungee cord on there. Okay, so I'm doing the caster. Now I got the extenders on. See? It's further away. Now, I've got it figured out that if I turn that one revolution, that's 20 degrees. So I don't have to worry about measuring it off that. That's kind of a pain in the butt, but I did it a few times and I looked at it and everything. It's one revolution. So you could use tape if you don't have that, but it's one revolution. So now I'm going to turn the wheel one revolution. Okay, and see, now it's got clearance on the fender there. So I'm going to lock this in. Okay. Then I'm going to zero this. Okay. And right there's the center. Come back. 110 degrees. Or, well, 1.10 degrees, sorry. 1.10 degrees. And it's supposed to be 4 to 5 degrees. I can't get that. It's not happening. So it is what it is, I suppose. And that's probably what the alignment shop was saying. They can't get it, but at least I'll never have to pay for an alignment again, because, well, you know, I can still mess with this because these A-arms are adjustable. And I don't know if I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take it for a ride and see how it does, but I can move that bottom by adjusting those two Heim links. I can move that forwards, so I probably should. I've got room in the wheel well, and I do. So I don't have my lift, so I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. We'll see how it steers when I take it for a ride. And I'm going to do the caster. Right now I'm going to do the camber. So I got to read this and set it right. Okay, so 0.15 with the down arrow is what I got. That's negative 0.15 percent. It's on percent negative. I think that's probably in spec. Oh, so forgot to say it. You got to take this off, put it on the floor right in front of the tire, zero it, then put it on, and get your reading, and make sure you're level. Going this way, and that's how you do that.